Almost every day, I get messages online that tell me I'm an abomination to God. Where do they get that? Leviticus 18 verse 22 in the New King James Version translation says, "You shall not lie with a male as with a woman. It is an abomination." Leviticus 20 verse 13 says, "If a man lies with a male as he lies with a woman, both of them have committed an abomination. They shall surely be put to death. Their blood shall be upon them." Now, do these two verses apply to me or not? I say no, but the people who disagree with me say that I can't just pick and choose which Bible verses to follow, and they tell me I can't just reinterpret the Bible to justify my sin. So who's right? In order to understand these two verses, we need to look at the meaning of the word abomination as it existed in its original Hebrew, because let's face it, this was written in about 1400 BC, which means English was still 2,000 years away from even being a language. So what does the word abomination mean? The word that it comes from in Hebrew is toeva. Toeva is used over 100 times in the Old Testament. In the vast majority of uses, toeva is used to describe ceremonial cleanness. Now, people will refer me back to this verse when I say context, and they'll say, "You don't need to look at the context. It's plain as day. You shall not lie with a male as with a woman. It is an abomination." Why can't you just accept that? Let's say you're a guy and you're married to a woman, and I were to tell you, "You shall not have sex with your wife. It is an abomination." What would you say to me? You'd probably come up with all sorts of reasons why having sex is perfectly fine with your wife. But then I come back and say, whoa, wait a second. Back up a paragraph. And in the previous paragraph, I had said, the following are guidelines for how you will conduct yourself in public. Then it would make perfect sense that I would say it's an abomination to have sex with your wife. So you see, context doesn't change the meaning of what Scripture says. It determines the meaning. Now, God sets the context of Leviticus 18 when God says in 18 verse 3, "You must not do as they do in Egypt where you used to live, and you must not do as they do in the land of Canaan where I'm bringing you. Do not follow their practices." Leviticus itself is a book about Israel moving into a new land, and it talks about how Israel should relate to its new neighbors, how they should relate to each other, and how they should relate to their God. The people that disagree with me will say, it's a capital offense. People who commit this offense are to be put to death. And that should tell us about the seriousness of men sleeping with men. In Leviticus 21, it talks about disobedient children needing to be put to death. So what you're telling me is that a child who refuses to clean their room has committed an offense as grave as bestiality or pederasty. You see, that just doesn't make sense. That's why Christians don't follow the laws in Leviticus. Let me say that again. Christians don't follow the laws in Leviticus. Don't believe me? Well, people are really big on me following Leviticus 18:22 and Leviticus 20:13, but they're not so big on following Leviticus 19. Why not? Well, Leviticus 19:19 says we can't wear polyester t-shirt and cotton pants. As an example, we can't plant different crops in the same field. But you don't see churches out demonstrating at farms. Leviticus 19 also says we can't shave the sides of our heads. Leviticus 19 also says no tattoos. Now, it's not just the verses in between these two verses that Christians don't follow. Leviticus 11 says no bacon. Also, no eating shellfish, so lobster's out. Leviticus tells us that we need to be very careful when shaking hands with women that they're not menstruating, but nobody seems to be willing to ask women if that's the case before they shake their hands. Leviticus 24 tells us the congregation must stone to death anyone who curses the name of the Lord. Now, if we were to practice this, Christians would not be able to play golf. If you've ever played golf, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And Leviticus 25 tells us it's okay to take slaves from the pagan nations around us. Christians don't follow the laws set in Leviticus. And I would say to anybody who tells me that I'm an abomination, you can't just pick and choose what verses you want to follow and what verses not to. If you're worried about Leviticus 18 and 20 calling you an abomination, don't be. Sit back, eat a BLT, and relax. Thanks for watching.